Hi and welcome to our next tutorial Tuesday video. I'm Erin, your teen librarian, and for today's craft I'm doing something that's very fun. I actually wanted to do a cardboard cryptex. Now if you can see that it is entirely made of cardboard all the way through. I had a lot of fun making this. It's like the second or third one I've made. This is a version I actually created entirely myself. And there's also a paper tutorial that goes with it that has drawing instructions as well as a template if you can print, and if you can't print I give instructions of how to kind of create something similar to what I have here. But the nice thing is when you put in the right code you can actually pull it out and hide something inside. So that's what I have in this video. It's a little bit long, but that's just because it gives you a lot of detail on what to do to make your video or to make your cryptex. So so follow along on the paper tutorial, and I hope to see people making their own cardboard cryptexes later on. So if you do, please make it and tag us, as well as tag our Instagram and the Facebook. So Facebook, of course, is the Worcester Public Library Facebook, and the teen Instagram is mywplteen at Instagram. So check those out, and I will see you later. So for this craft, you are going to need 2 paper towel tubes. That are just the standard paper towel tubes that you would get from the store. Some glue from a hot glue gun. Some cardboard that is at least a 1/8 of an inch thick and has a single corrugation. So I've been using Amazon boxes because I have a ton of those, and they all have this simple single corrugation. You'll also need an exacto knife or a box cutter. Please make sure that you have parental supervision when you're using these. I don't recommend using scissors just because cutting cardboard with scissors is very, very difficult and can be dangerous. And then if you would print out this template that explains how to, or it gives you the template of what size to cut, as well as how many to cut of each of these. Now, if you cannot get a printer, I do have a tutorial that does tell you the size that you need for each of these circles. The only tricky thing will be figuring out how to cut or how to measure out these lines, just to make sure that they're all even. There's a way to do it, and I explain it in the tutorial, in that little paper tutorial, but for this video I'm going to be just using the template. So the one thing I have used scissors for is to cut out my templates. Now these, like I said, are on that template that you can download in the link in the description. And they give you instructions of how many of these to cut out on your cardboard. So this says cut out 10, so you will trace and cut 10 of these out on your cardboard, which is why you need a fair amount of cardboard. You'll cut out 15 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, and 6 of these. So I'm going to go and cut all these out because you don't need to watch me cutting all those out, and then I'll be back for the next step. So now that I have traced all of these onto cardboard, I'm going to start cutting them out very carefully. I'm essentially just sawing into the cardboard and going around the circle. And it's not going to be perfect just because cutting in cardboard is hard because you do have the corrugation. So it's not going to be perfect. All you really care about is that these are going to be big enough to go around your paper towel tubes when we get to that part. So right now what you're creating are the locks or the chambers that are going to help create your secret passcode for your cardboard cryptex. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just cutting all these out, and once again, I'm not going to make you watch me cut out every single one of these because it will take forever to do that. So I'm just showing you how to do the first one, and then I will come back once I have finished cutting all these pieces out. try to do to not you can see I've cut out one, and then fits perfect. You need to make sure that it has a little bit of space to move because you're technically going to have two pieces of cardboard on top of each other. So you want a little bit of movement space. So this is great. So I'll be back once I have finished cutting the rest. So once your hands unclench from cutting out all your little tiny itty bitty cuts in your cardboard, the next step is to start making the locks or the chambers that are going to be used to make up the word or the passcode of your cryptex. And they all require the same thing. So you will need 2 of the sheets that have the notches that have the slightly smaller holes. So you'll need 2 of them with the notches lined up. You put those face down. And then you need 3 of the 7-sided piece with the bigger hole on top. And you're going to make 5 of these. And you're going to glue them all together. I'm currently waiting for my hot glue to heat up. So I'm just going to make my stacks while I wait. But you're going to make 5 of these. So you'll have the 2 and then 3 on top. And then it doesn't really it's not a big thing if the outsides of your 7-sided locks match up perfectly because you're going to actually cover them over in the next step once we have finished making these locks. And like I said, always make sure that your notches line up. So here are my 5 that I've made. And then I'm going to glue them next once my glue is a little bit warmer. And then if you're wondering about what these guys were, these are actually going to be the ends of your cryptex. So these will come into play at the very end when we start really putting the cryptex all together, as well as these little guys, which are going to end up being the spacers between these locks to keep them from being pressed against each other and make them easier to turn. So I'll show you how this works. So it's just do a very light amount of hot glue, work best, unlike me, and press them together. So you can see that the notches are matched up, they look good. So then I don't use a ton of glue, I just put little dots because this does take a lot. This one you have to be careful about to make sure that you get the glue closer to the edge because you do have a little bit of a lip on the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then put your next stack, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have I have a lot of hot glue strings, so I can get rid of that. Just get it out of the way. But I have a stack, and like I said, it's okay that if it's not perfect. You'll make it look a lot better in the next step. So I'm going to finish gluing these all together, and then I'll come back to show you the next step. Okay, so this next step is slightly tedious, just because it's going to depend on how big your stacks are. So your stacks might be a little bit different than me depending on the length of your cardboard, but mine is coming in at 1 little notch over 1/2. So what I am doing is making a nice, basically group, let's see, I don't know what exactly I want to call it, but a strip. So I'm basically making a strip that fits the measurements that I had measured that were the length of, or the width of my stacks. So I'm going to make 5 of these. So And the reason that I'm not making this a measurement that you can cut out on like a template is that these are going to depend on your these are going to depend on how big your stacks are, so how big the how big your card, or how thick your cardboard was. So I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to do 5 of them, and then I'll show you the next step. Also, one big important thing is that you want to make sure that your strips are running perpendicular to the corrugation of your cardboard. That's really important. You don't want to go with the corrugation, you want to go against it. So you can see how I can see my corrugation here is going up and down. You want to make sure your strips are going across. And if your strip is a little short, that's fine. That's what hot glue is here for. Okay, so now I have 3 strips that are more or less the right size. Now, if they are a little bit bigger, that is perfectly fine. I can just use my my exacto knife to kind of cut them down a little bit. If they're a little bit small, I might recut. So what I'm doing is this is getting a little tricky, so you're gonna have to watch really close to what I'm doing. So I'm gonna cut a little, not all the way through, but just enough to break the first layer of cardboard. And I'm actually pulling off the corrugation so that I have a little tab of cardboard left over. So I'm going to make sure that at least one side is flush against the top of my cardboard. And I am going to glue down this tab right here with my hot glue against the corner of my strip. You see how that is pressed against? You see this is a little bit bigger, so I'll just have to cut this down. But oh, I let my hot glue cool, so it's a little bit loose, but that's okay. Now that I have the tab on, I'm going to make a mark on I'm going to bend it first and then make a mark on the inside where that bend is. So you see right here, just making a mark along the corrugation. And then I'm going to take my exacto, cut into it, don't cut through, once again. It just gives you a nice crisp cut. See, now I have a nice sharp edge. So I'm going to do that again. See, it just looks really nice. Okay, so now that I have a edge that goes all the way around, I'm going to measure where this one ends. And then I'm actually just going to take my scissors and cut, because this one is a cut that I'm less worried about. But now I have a nice edge. And so basically what I'm going to do is take my hot glue and just glue all the way around my edge. And that looks so nice. Cool. So that is the edge of one block done. And since you see that I have a little bit of cardboard left over on the side, I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing to all the other locks. So I'll come back as soon as I have finished doing that piece. So I have 5 locks all made. It's a little like skinny. So if you wanted to end up making more, so this only makes maybe 5 letters or numbers, depending on what you want. If you wanted maybe more, you could just keep continuing the pattern. So you would make 2 times whatever you need. So 2 times 3 if you wanted to have 7 letters. And then you would make 3 times 3 of the inside ones to continue it. I'm only doing 5 just because I just wanted to do something simple. Maybe later on I'll make a much bigger one, but if you want to make a smaller one, or I mean a bigger one, you absolutely could. So then the next step is you're going to make the outside edge. So this is round instead. And what you're going to do is take another sheet, and I'm making this one easy for myself. Instead of measuring, I am literally just going to outline my yardstick. I feel like that just makes it just a tiny bit easier on me. Remember, you're still going perpendicular to the to your gosh, why am I corrugation. So I'm going to cut this out really fast and show you the next step. So one way you can do is take your cardboard and kind of curl it yourself. So running your finger along the way you want it to curl, and basically you're breaking up and smushing the corrugation to make it nice and easy to kind of curl into a circle. This step is a little bit difficult, so you are going to do what you did before, which is cut a little tab just so you have something to glue onto. And it's going to take a little bit of work, and hopefully you still have hot glue. I'm running low, so we're going to see how well I do. But you're going to run your hot glue along your edge here. And basically you're going to hold and glue all the way around, making a nice, basically a nice edge. And so I'm just gonna keep holding and gluing. Okay, so I have gone all the way around. I have an edge here, so I'm gonna just glue under this ledge right here. And I have slightly, I have slightly burned fingertips, but I also have a lovely ring. So then the next step is going around the edge of this. And this is a trickier step, and you do have to work faster on this one because you don't want the glue to dry too fast on you. But basically, I hate this part because I don't want to burn my fingertips. You are pushing the little donut you created inside the ledge. There is a chance you will get slightly hot fingertips. That is okay. Just be really careful. Please make sure, once again, parental supervision, you're not doing this alone like I am. Yeah, so this looks lovely. You have a nice little ring. And just giving you an idea of what this is, so you're not thinking I'm just, completely off my rocker for just making these weird cardboard pieces. What happens is you'll be taking your paper towel roll, sticking it in, and gluing this paper towel roll to there in a second. And then basically you're going to end up stacking your rings on top, but that's not the only step. So you have one, you're going to repeat the process with your other one, and then we'll move on to the next step once I'm done with that. Okay, I have my 5 rings, and then I have one paper towel tube that I am going to just very quickly glue the edges so that it essentially just stays where it is. I don't want it moving. So we'll let the hot glue go for a second and relax. And then we have our other paper towel tube. Well, that is cooling down. This one right here, we're going to do something interesting where I'm going to very lightly flatten it just so I can kind of see where an edge is. So I basically make a nice flat edge. And then I'm cutting up the edge I just made. I just basically want to make sure it's not tilted, which it is a tiny bit, but I can handle that. Just because like your paper towel rolls are not perfectly even. But now that this is pretty solid, I'm actually going to wrap this around the paper towel roll that I have here. And I'm going to stick the other tube on top. Now this is way longer than your Cryptex, but this shows you how long your Cryptex can go. But I'm mostly just doing this because I want to see how my notches look. My notches look good. They're a little bit bigger than I wanted them to be, but honestly, this is not a perfect science. And a lot of you are going to be working with cardboard that's a little bit like differently sized than mine. So a lot of this part right here is going to go by feel. But you don't want to, you do not want to glue over this opening. You want to leave that open. You just kind of want to glue around the edge to make sure that that's nice and even. So that's pretty much dry. So I'm going to take out this piece, the whole piece, not the one that's cut, and set it to the side. Now we're going to get our spacer pieces. These are what I showed you earlier. These are one of the pieces you cut. So your spacer piece, I'm going to put a little bit of glue. And I am being very careful with my glue because I am being very close to running out. So you put a little bit of glue. And then you bring your spacer all the way down to the bottom and just put it against the bottom of your base. Okay, this is going to act as a spacer, and make sure that notch is lined up with this space here. You want to make sure that the notch is right there, because otherwise you won't be able to turn your Cryptex. So the next one is going to be, we're going to put on one of our locks, but you're going to put it with this side down. Okay, so you'll see how this turns on the Cryptex. This is just going to help you kind of figure out, you know, how wide this is. And then I'm not going to glue it. Instead, I'm going to put another spacer right here. And so my spacer, and just like before, I am going to put hot glue towards the inside to keep it from turning. So this is just to kind of keep it from turning. And you're going to keep doing that stack all the way up to the point where you no longer have any more of these. So I'm going to go do that really fast. And I think I'm also going to have to switch out my glue gun because I am just about out of glue. Yeah, so this does take a lot of glue. Just keep that in mind when you're making this. Also, you do not want to put the stacker with this piece on until the stacker is dry, because you don't want the glue from the stacker getting stuck onto your lock. So we are on the second to last step. I've already kind of gone ahead and done one little bit of it. So all the notches are lined up, so all the way straight down, every single one that had a notch is lined up, so I can put my finger in there. If I turned it, I wouldn't be able to, so this would be considered locked. So this is entirely unlocked right now. Now, what I've done right here is make these notches along the inside that are pretty much about halfway between each, they're basically right below the two smaller circle 7-sided pieces that essentially are going to be where your locks go. Now I'm using popsicle sticks that I cut. You can use cardboard. I use popsicle sticks just because they're a little bit easier to handle. I'm also going to have to get creative with my glue because I have currently run out of hot glue. So I'm being very creative with it. So hopefully you do not have this problem. But essentially what I'm doing is sticking a popsicle stick down into my hot glue gun, retrieving the hot glue that I need, and then putting it on where the edge that I need is going to be. And these are just going to stick up to create those little tiny pieces that are going to create essentially the key, or the lock part of the key, I guess. It's hard to describe what they are, but they're basically the little pieces that keep that when you turn your locks, we'll keep them locked when it is in the locked position. So I'm going to do a number lock, and these are all in the correct order, or they're all unlocked. So my lock is going to be 5, 4, 8, 3, 2. And try to actually remember what you wrote, because you don't want to, you know, completely mess up. You can do words, you can do numbers, but I decided to do 5, 4, 8, 3, 2. And I'm going to write down my code 5, 4, 8, 3, 2. Now I'm going to fill in the rest of the numbers. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 6, 7, all of them. 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, I shouldn't have done this as an 8 because I only have 7. Let's see, how can I fix that? I'm just gonna make this a nice 7. It's okay. I'm not expecting anyone to break into these other than myself trying to remember my passcode. So I'll do it like that. It's fine. 6, 5, 4, 3. This is why you should also always do the start of your projects in pencil, so you don't make a mistake like I just did. But it's 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so my numbers are done and my pieces are nice and hot glued. So we're going to stick our pieces in, make sure that they all fit. Okay, so you can see that they come out now. So they come in and out. Oh, and also before I forget the last step, because I'm gonna turn this so you can see it, because I don't want to forget where my code is. I made myself 2 little arrows that I am going to stick. So one goes right here. And then I'm going to make myself another arrow. And the other one goes right here where all the little notches are, just so that you and whoever else is trying to open up your Cryptex knows where these sit. So, okay, it is locked. So 5, 4, 7, 3, 2. Because this is cardboard and it's not perfect, you are going to have to give yourself a little bit of leeway on where your little pieces are, so you can know how to take it out. So you can put anything inside and you'll have a beautiful Cryptex. And you can always make it look nicer, paint it, you know, spend a little bit more time on making your cardboard edges. I pretty much want to make this in a day. This maybe took me possibly 2 total hours to make, and that was with me tweaking things and cleaning as I went. So, and also hopefully you don't run out of hot glue. It would be really sad if that happened. But yeah, so this is my Cardboard Cryptex. You can check out the template for it that's attached to the bio of this video. And yeah, I hope you enjoy making your own Cardboard Cryptex. And if you do, please take a picture and tag us. We definitely want to see what you created. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this fun little craft.